Hello, Tyler Gordon here with another episode of Chores Around the Server. Today I am, I guess, greeting you from my office in the server. This is kind of what I've been referring to as the Transportation Authority office, since that's one of my self-assigned roles here, is just kind of being in charge of where new piston bolt lines go. You know, if someone hypothetically came and wanted to, have a piston bolt, to a certain farm or whatever, they can come meet with me here and we figure out where it needs to go, which line and so forth. But yeah, so there's two main things I'm going to be doing today. The first one, I've got a bit of a special use, kind of custom designed piston bolt that I came up with as a solution to a problem that I'll describe here in a moment. And then the second thing is just a little bit of spawn proofing that I kind of forgot about. So yeah, first things first, let's just maybe take a moment and soak in this nether hub. This is a design of mine. It's kind of been featured a little bit in some of my videos, but we haven't really ever talked about it. This is designed after the real world train station in Belgium, Antwerpen Centraal. Is my attempt at pronouncing it. Feel free to correct me if any of you know of what I speak. But yeah, so the basic idea here, we have 16 different terminals that we can set up different piston bolt lines. So what I'm using here is I guess they call it Demi-Bolt. I still just like calling it a piston bolt, but it's a newer design of the piston bolt that uses half as many pistons because of the alternation of rail types that you see. This also allows for some clever, I guess, features. So each of these lines, I've got it set up such that we can have point-to-point networks. So in the case of this blue line, I look in the lectern here, and right now I'm set on Slime Farm. If I go back a page, I would go to the Amethyst Farm location. So what that does, since you've got a lectern here, there's a comparator pointing into it, and that gives us a unique signal. So in this case, as soon as we launch the cart, we're going to get a signal strength of 2 that's propagated through all of these, which that signal strength is used to calculate some logic later on. Let me figure out what oh my goodness. Okay. I know how to play this game, I promise. So yeah, so right now we're set at Slime Farm. So I'll go ahead and ride this over. And a little bit of visual lag here. Connections, not great. This little guy over here is something we just built up the other day. And this is kind of my idea for having a relatively standardized piston bolt, I guess, station. I just wanted something a little bit more ornate, a little bit nicer than just kind of landing on the end here and just kind of standing on bedrock. So this is going to be the location where we get to our slime farm. So there's a couple of things. One, I've got some cosmetic stuff that I'd like to do here to make it look a little bit more on theme. Some green, like, slime block or slime ball kind of pixel art maybe would be cool up there. But the main thing that I'm going to be doing today with that is addressing an issue. So I was really excited about this design. It's kind of based off of there was this kind of fad in America and probably other places in the 19th century where they would build houses in the shape of a hexagon. So this is designed after a particular one, which I can put that up on the screen here. And I think it's a cool design, one, because it just looks neat, but also if you think about the use of a station like this, we might have a diagonal piston bolt, and I'd like to be able to just kind of use the same design and have like a station come in and meet this on the diagonal, or in the case that we have here, it's coming in at a 90-degree angle. But yeah, anyway, I was excited about this design, and I totally forgot to finish the spawn proofing here. So it's, right now, if we didn't have our mob switch on, we'd be having a bit of an issue here. So yeah, I'm gonna deal with that in a few minutes, but since we're talking about piston bolts, I'm gonna talk about the other plan of the day here. So let's go ahead and ride back. Make sure we're okay. Terminal station. Let's get rid of the light overlay. So yeah, this ice path right here is kind of the issue that I'm going to be solving. You know, I mentioned the first floor here. This is all about our piston bolt stations. We have up to 16 that we can use. Up here on the top, I've got room for up to 32 different ice paths. And so far, it's completely underutilized except for this one path right here. And in fact, I'm going to be tearing this out. So that's great. The problem is this is servicing the portal room, the end gateway. So that's pretty much always going to be a one-way trip. As you can see, there's a bunch of boats that I've collected over here because you ride out and then you jump down to the conveniently located portal there, and then you're in the stronghold room, at which point, and actually I'm going to turn off shaders. That was fun having them. But yeah, so here after everything loads, we're here in our little cosmetic stronghold room. So if I jump in the pool, here I am in the end. Of course, as soon as I go through the exit gateway here, I'm gonna end up wherever my spawn was. So in this case, it's in my bed. So always a one-way trip, or at least most of the time. So that got me thinking about different ways that we could maybe have better infrastructure to solve that problem. So what I'm going to be doing is implementing basically a modified piston bolt here in the purple line. So in a normal bolt, obviously, you jump on and then you launch off and then go to whatever station. If we did that here, it'd be the same issue where instead of having boats collect at the far end, we'd have all the mine carts end up at the other end, and then we have to reload mine carts. So what I did is I basically figured out a way to use, since this is all within render distance, I'm going to have an instant line that triggers the other side. So as soon as we launch a cart from this side or from either side, it sends back one from the other. So I'm going to go ahead and hop over to creative and show you that design, and then we'll at that point just kind of do some building over here in survival. All right, so here's the design, the basic idea. It's essentially just a regular piston bolt, but then we've got an instant rail line here in between. And what this does is it basically sends a signal. If I jump in the minecart and I go through here, I'm going to intersect with the string. That triggers this instant rail line, and then sends a signal to the other side to send a minecart back. So I can actually just kind of hop in here, show you. There comes the other one. So we'll do that again. Here I'm on the other side. Yeah, so that's working kind of exactly like we would want. By the way, the instant rail, this is really cool design in that it can be triggered from anywhere. So, essentially what's happening here, there's some like rail butting stuff going on where these rails aren't actually powered by anything at the moment. I mean, they are powered, but there's not an active source. They just got in a state where they think that they're powered, but as soon as they're updated, it flashes off, and then the observers here kind of reset everything. So the second bit of it that's kind of interesting here, and I'll just talk about this briefly, I wanted it to be bi-directional. So, this satisfies that need, but then if you imagine, if we jump in here and we launch, and it sends a signal on this rail, we don't want that signal to also send a second rail on this side, because what that's going to do is it's basically just going to create a clock where suddenly you just have rails going back and forth indefinitely. So what I'm using here is, this is actually, maybe it deserves its own video, but again, briefly here, we've got observers looking at the rails, and the way that rails update, if I, for instance, on this side, if I update here, what that does, I can freeze the game. Okay, as soon as I click that, in the same game tick, in the same moment, the whole line turns off. And then, like, in terms of the subtick priority, what happens then is the update cascade, the update chain goes from the farthest block all the way back to the block that was updated. So if I step forward a tick, there we go. And then that second tick, everything turns back on. But in that tick, the update chain, it started here and then went here and then here and then here and then all the way through back to the original block. So what that means is that these observers, even though they're getting triggered in the same tick, this one gets updated first. So what I have here, this is basically just a sub-tick priority detector kind of thing that I came up with. So in this case, since this observer is getting updated first, the piston moves, even in the same tick, it's a little bit earlier than the repeater here. So this repeater gets triggered first, and then this repeater, which means there's a little bit of a delay, like sub-tick delay, and then this is not going to create output. So I'm going to unfreeze. You can see right there, this one pushed forward, but this piston did not get activated. So if I update it from the other side, you'll see that it does get activated. So what this allows here is for us to only activate the other side. So when I ride in the cart from this side, it sends a cart from the other side, but it doesn't send a second cart from my side. All right, first things first, I've got to place a little bit of purple concrete. So I'm going to go down to the basement and should have a little bit over there. It's authorized personnel only in here. It's a clubhouse. Okay, I will actually eat. Okay, purple line. Over here. Okay, good. We've got plenty of purple concrete. I'll just grab 3 boxes for now. All right, so we've placed some concrete. The next step is going to be placing some rails and then running some slimestone helpers. So you'll notice if you look over at the blue line here that in this Demi-Bolt kind of design, I've opted for something that has, you know, every other block is lowered on the outer side, and it's actually easiest if you're automating this as much as you can to just place it all flat and then run a machine that pushes down every other block. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. So I've got I've got the rails and the concrete placed. I'm going to show kind of how the rail helper here works. So I've got a, schematic in here. We can go into the placement, configuration, and bring it up to where it matches. I couldn't quite see what I was doing there. Okay, close. Configure. There we go. Okay. So I designed the stations here so that they would require minimal, I guess, editing. So the slime here is going to stick to the sides of this, so I do have to remove a couple of blocks. There we go. That should be good. All right, so this should be good to go. If I remove this block, it launches, and what it's going to do is it's going to curve the rails the correct way, but it's also going to push down every other concrete block like we have over in the blue line. So let's go ahead and launch this thing. Sweet, there we go. Really is a beautiful thing to watch. While this is running, by the way, it's kind of an exercise in, I don't know, tomfoolery, because we've got a perfectly suitable, complete, like basically infinite expanse of flat surface right there, and yet we're insisting on raising the piston bolts and using concrete. I don't know. Maybe it's just an excuse to use this concrete. We've got a million of every concrete color, and we're, I guess, looking for ways to use it. But also, I think it looks a little bit nicer. Cool, so that's done. And just, bye-bye. We'll just let it go. You know, or I guess I can go up there, fly past it, try and break it. Okay. Sweet. Now I just had to build it up on the other side and send one back. All right, second machine built up. Before I forget, same thing that I had to do with the wall. It's just kind of just the way I designed it. I gotta temporarily remove a couple of blocks here so it doesn't stick. Wouldn't be the end of the world if I forgot that, but yeah. Oh, and then got obsidian right here to stop the machine just in the right spot so it doesn't, you know, plow through the nether hub. All right. That looks good. Yep, that should be correct. There we go. That should be good. Yeah, so at this point, I've got a design that I came up with for a smaller station as opposed to kind of the big ornate one over there. So I'm going to gather the materials, and it looks like I should probably just go ahead and tear out the ice line up here. So all right, get back all these boats. Okay, so right from here. No ice or button left behind. There we go. Now I just have the panes. That's okay. Landing on this, no, is a pain. I'm sorry. Okay, demonstrating my really amazing elytra skills. Okay, yeah, let's eat something. All right. I might not even worry about gathering these. All right, so this is pretty much done. I think it's kind of neat. Purple and, you know, like purple blocks, kind of end themed. I think it looks nice. We've still got to finish the the actual bolts themselves, and then the station over there, and then we should be good to go. But yeah, and I guess let me go ahead and collect all of my junk. Putting everything away here. So. I think I'm just gonna throw this in a random location for now. Probably just down in the office. Yeah, best practice. Just throw things in random locations. I actually want those, don't I? Okay, this first one has to be dust, doesn't it? I don't have any. Okay, grab some dust. May as well grab a few more of these. Sure. All right, since I'm using dust right here, that one gets 1 tick of delay. So here it is. It's the world's smallest piston bolt. The next thing that I need to do is the aforementioned instant line in between, because as of right now, this is totally functional, but it doesn't do what I was talking about. So you can see where the issue would be. So, you know, here I am in the nether hub. In normal play, you know, we'd just be taking a cart out to the station here. At which point we just go into the portal, go into the end, and then we're not really taking this back ever. So really this is just there, well, one, for the recirculation that I'm talking about, but also in case we, you know, someone got over here and then decided, actually I don't want to go to the end, I need to go back and get something, and then you can, you know, take this back. But yeah, in either case, we want a cart to be sent along the other direction. So that little system's what I'm going to be working on next. I guess I should quickly show all of the rail placement gymnastics involved in getting all this to link up properly. It's difficult because it kind of depends which side you update first. So yeah, kind of challenging. Great, so last step is going to be to connect this up with either side of the piston bolt, so that whenever we take a cart and leave from one station, the opposite station gets that message and sends a cart back. So I'm going to do that with string. String right there, an observer looking at it. And as soon as our head's inside of that string, that's going to extend, which triggers the whole line. So yeah, there we go. Now, so again, the thing about this is that we want that message only to be received by the other end. So to that end, I'm basically going to do a sub-tick priority detector. So whenever we get a signal coming from the far end, what's going to happen is this observer updates first, meaning this repeater gets the update first. So what I'm going to do is take piston. Whoops, wrong way. Use command there. Okay. So now what do we need to do? We need to have just a regular piston right here would be fine. So I think this works. I think this should work just fine. So we can take an observer and we want it to be looking right at where that piston head's going to extend. From this point, okay, we just need to basically snake this up so that we can update this comparator. So, oops, fell off my scaffolding. Okay, that would go there. We can take some powered rail, put that right here. And that should already do it, I think. So now I just need the detection on the other end. And then I could already test it. So string right there. An observer looking at that. There we go. So if I get in this string, it should send back a minecart. Yep, there it goes. Sweet. Okay, yeah, so I just need to finish up this side. Cool. Yeah, so let's test this thing out. All right, so we should see a cart going off in the opposite direction. And then by the time that we get there, this one's already reached its destination. That's working great. Great, so this is all done over here. And at this point, I wanted to end the video with a bit of decoration, I guess, on the other station that we have. So right over here, I mentioned at the beginning of the video how this guy was built kind of excitedly before we finished with the, before I added any spawn proofing. So, you know, all of this up here is, you know, actually spawnable for certain mobs. So we're going to add some, you know, pressure plates, some carpet, things like that. And while I'm at it, I went ahead and designed a little pixel art kind of, I don't know, fresco there, and then added some stuff here just to kind of make it a little bit more, you know, slime farm themed. So yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and grab the resources for that. 29 dried kelp block. I don't know that I have any kelp. I don't know that we have any, which is ironic considering the most recent video of mine is all about a kelp block farm. Oh, why would it be in there? All right, 29 kelp blocks. That's like a little bit more than 4 stacks of kelp. Guess I'm gonna go adventuring here. Nearest ocean's over here somewhere. Very large old growth pine taiga here. And we've been playing this world a long time. I still remember before Elytra kind of exploring over here. Just the untold possibilities. Okay, here we go. Found some kelp. All right, we're doing this the old-fashioned way. We don't want to destroy all of it, of course, you know. We take only pictures, leave only footprints. All right, so I've got everything in my material list except for some light gray concrete powder, and let's use our new infrastructure to go to the end, get some of that. All right, here we are. So, light gray concrete powder. We've got 500,000 here. Guess I'll just grab a whole box. You know, we need 6 of them. Why not grab 1,728? So, You'll never believe it. I'm actually going to use scaffolding for its intended purpose. This is very cool. It's really not bad. I never think to use it. I guess they kind of knew what they were doing when they added this in. Yeah, nice to use things for the intended purpose instead of, you know, just like in a, you know, 1 tick delay contraption or something like that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Maybe I'm a scaffolding convert. The time-honored tradition of building piston bolts just to fly past them. Always fun. All right, things are taking shape here. Next level down. Okay. Here it is. Deep slate, emerald ore. Everyone's favorite cosmetic block. All right, so if you're like me, you don't like making compromises, and as I was doing this pixel art, the best block for this spot I thought was gray concrete powder, which of course is gravity affected. So you know, we can't really have that there without something under it. Or can we? So this is not super unknown, but, you know, in case it wasn't familiar to anyone, there is a little trick or exploit that we can take advantage of for stuff like this, and that would involve sticky pistons trying to pull back from slime that can't move. So here, let me go ahead and do this. I'll need an immovable block of some sort, so dispenser will do just fine. And then what I can do is I can place that concrete powder and unpower these sticky pistons. Since the slime block can't move, it basically skips the update. It's probably an oversimplified way of putting it, but yeah, so there we go. Now we have some concrete powder that is more or less update skipped. Okay, now this next one, I'm gonna have to put my, you know, an ender chest would have done just fine as well. Okay, concrete powder is placed. There we go. All right, final layer. Put some storage up here just in case. Okay. Can I figure it out? There we go. Okay. All right. I think that is everything. Now, I think probably the undisputed best part of using scaffolding is a tear down. So All right. I guess it's time for a big reveal. There's our slime farm station. We still haven't built the slime farm, but this will maybe give us some motivation to come over here. And there's my slime ball pixel art. I think it turned out all right. I don't know. I think it looks nice. Especially just kind of at a glance, it gets the point across, I think, quite nice. So I left a scaffolding up there, didn't I? Cool. So thank you for watching. If you got to this point and you enjoyed things, please feel welcome to like, subscribe if you want to see anything else that I'm going to be doing. I've got a lot of plans here on the server. And then I've got some other videos that I'm going to be doing soon with little, technical things, farms, that sort of thing. So yeah, thank you for watching and hope you have a great day.